I'm Anthony Tusler. I'm in Northern California. I live in Sonoma County, Pen Grove to be exact, and it's a semi-rural area. Um, I mean, people say God's country, and it's pretty swell, I got to admit. I feel quite privileged. So, what I do is I'm semi-retired or mostly retired these days. I have, throughout my professional life, um, done things that are disability related, disability community related, disability civil rights. Um, It's what keeps me involved, active, excited, discouraged, angry, but I wouldn't have it any other way. I have an interesting story in that I have a spinal cord injury that I got when I was 5 years old, L1-2. Um, what that means is that when I was quite young, I learned to use braces, long leg braces, and crutches to get around. And I was able to do that quite well because my injury is so low, and I had good upper body strength. We're talking about 1952. If I had have gone to special schools, I would have got a substandard education, substantially substandard from what regular schools. And so my mother got me into the regular elementary school with kids the same age as I was. I had to learn to use braces and crutches so I could climb to the second story of the elementary school I was going to, because that's where the third grade was. And it never occurred to anybody to bring it down to the first floor when I needed it. So I was I was mainstreamed, what we call it now. We didn't know it then, but I was mainstreamed throughout my whole educational career, which meant I'm culturally competent in, well, pretty much culturally competent in the dominant culture, the able-bodied community, but not so much in the disability community. That's been an ongoing work for me because I never knew another disabled person or somebody who considered themselves disabled until I was in my mid-20s. And what happened there is that my dad was living in Berkeley at the time. I was visiting fairly regularly. We're talking about the early 70s. I saw the curb cuts in Berkeley and thought they were for women with baby strollers. Never occurred to me that disabled people would have the political clout to be able to get curb cuts. So little by little, I started to realize something was going on around disability. Nothing really concrete until I met a wheelchair user who was politically active and who was hipper and cooler than I am. I was Steve Diaz. And in meeting that guy, I realized that I could take on a disability identity and still be hip and cool, which was incredibly important to me. Still is kind of, I am afraid to say. But in meeting Steve, I realized I had a community. I came home to the disability community. Steve and I were both going to Sonoma State University as students. We went on to found the Disability Services office there. I got hired into the to be the first director and ended up with a career and retirement. I mean, it's just amazing to me that I went from being, kind of a ne'er-do-well hippie in Northern California to being somebody who had a cause and excited about it, and actually, I think, kind of good at it. And so, one of the things that I've become known for lately is that the photographs I took in 1977 of the 504 sit-in in San Francisco. And what I realized is one of the things that I would hope my photos of the ordinariness of disability life is don't fear it as much as you do. The able-bodied world is terrified of disability. Part of that for good reason. Part of that is because it's still an inhospitable world for disabled people. There is still a great deal of prejudice out there, and that's really unfortunate. That's the bad news. The good news is that the human condition is such that when we meet adversity, we rise to the occasion.